Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mensch. Every month, Arch Linux puts out a brand new ISO on the first of the month. And it's not for updating the system, it's for brand new installations. And it's becoming a habit of mine to do an install video once a month. And lately, I've been doing a lot of installations on video with the automated installer. And today, I'm going to do a manual install. And for the very first time on video, I'm going to do a manual install with encryption. That is, I'm going to encrypt the drive manually. So let's get to it. So I'm logged on to the August 1st, 2023 Arch Linux ISO. And the first thing I'm going to do is set the font so you can see it. Set font tier 130. Let's do 128. 128, E for bold. Whoop. And I did that wrong. Let's do that again. I forgot the dash. There we go. Let's clear the screen. Next thing I'm going to do is set the time and date. Time, date, control. Set NTP true. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download 900 mirrors from the worldwide. And that's another reason why I like doing a manual install better, is I have more control. I have less bloat and more control of what's going to be installed. So, like I said, I'm going to download 900 mirrors from around the world. And another thing I have to mention is that don't even think of doing a manual install if you don't know how to use Vim or Nano. Because this is a TTY and you need to know how to use either Vim or Nano. I like to use Vim, so that's what I use. So now I'm going to download the mirrors. Let's just get rid of that. So now we're going to type in curl -o. That's an O and not a 0. Etsy pacman mirror list. Leave a space https://archlinux.org/mirror list/all, and you have to end it with a slash. And if I typed in the command right, it's going to download all the mirrors. Now we're going to Vim into them. So Vim Etsy pacman d/mirror list. And here we are. We have 900 mirrors, but they're all commented out, which means they're not activated. So I'm going to hit the slash. I'm going to type in constant, because that's a mirror I like. It's from the United States. And I'm going to tick off. And I'm going to copy the one with the S. So if you notice, some of these mirrors have HTTP : and HTTPS : so you want the one with the S, because the S is more secure. The ones without the S are not secure. So I'm going to take this constant one. I'm going to delete it from there. I'm going to move it to the top. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to take out the comment, which I just activated the mirror. And I'm going to leave a space. I don't have to. This is just for cosmetic reasons. And I'm going to go to another mirror that I like to use. America package build. I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to activate it by taking out the comment. And should I get a third mirror? And actually, I want this package mirror to be at the top. There we go. Now, the one that's at the top is the first mirror that it's going to download packages from. If something is wrong with that mirror, then it will jump to the next one. And I'm going to see if I can find another mirror that's good. All these mirrors are from the United States. I'm going to take this one down here. And I'm going to go to the top. These are pretty good mirrors. They're usually fast. And they're usually 100% up to date. So I have 3 mirrors that I've chosen. And I'm going to right click and save it. And now I'm going to sync the mirrors. So I'm going to do, and before I do, let's do that first. I'm going to sudo, you know what, I'm going to do something else first. I'm going to do vim pacman And I'm missing a word here. I'm going to do vim etc pacman period conf. And I'm going into this file, and I'm going to change two things. I'm going to activate these two lines. Verbose package list just makes the packages come out in columns rather than in paragraphs, but that sometimes doesn't work if the font is too large, but I'm going to activate that line anyways. But this last line is very important. I'm going to activate it. I'm going to take out the comment, and it's going to do parallel downloads equals 5. So it's going to download more packages at the same time, and it's going to be faster. And I'm going to save the file. Now I'm going to sync my mirrors. Let's clear the screen. And I'm going to do pacman SYY. I'm syncing my mirrors, and you always have to sync your mirrors when you change mirrors. Now I'm going to format the disk, because I'm going to use CF disk. CF disk. And I'm going to choose DOS. I'm going to hit new. I'm going to make a 200 megabyte drive for my boot. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit primary. I'm going to use my arrow keys to go to bootable. I'm going to use my arrow keys to go to write. I'm going to type in the word yes. And I'm going to go use my arrow keys to go down to the free space. I'm going to click on new. It's telling me the next partition is going to be 19.8 gig. And that's because I made a 20 gig hard drive. I'm going to use the whole next drive, or all the free space, from my main drive. Hit enter, primary. I'm going to use the arrow keys to go to bootable. I'm going to use the arrow keys to go to write. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to type in yes. And I'm going to use my arrow keys to go to quit. I'm going to quit. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, syncing disks. So the disks are sunk, or they've been synced. And I'm going to clear the screen. So now what I'm going to do is lsblk, and there's my two drives. So you can see this is a virtual machine. So normally if this was a hard drive, it would be SDA, or it could be SDB. This is a virtual drive, so I have two drives now. I have a 200, or I have two partitions. I have a 200 megabyte partition for boot, which is VDA1, and I have VDA2 is my 19.8 gig hard drive for my software and my programs. So I'm going to encrypt the drive now, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to type in this command: encrypt setup -y, and you have to leave the spaces here, -v lux format. Now notice the format, I have a capital F. So you have to type it exactly the way I'm typing it. Space dev VDA2. And we're doing a VDA2 because that's the 19.8 gig partition. And I'm going to hit enter. And if I typed it in right, it's going to work. So now it's asking me, this will overwrite all data. Well, I don't have any data because this is a new virtual machine. But if you did have data, if this is a hard drive or bare metal computer, of course, it's telling you it's going to wipe everything out. And it's telling you if this is okay, type yes in capital letters. So I'm going to put my caps on. I'm going to type yes. I'm going to hit enter. Now it's asking me for a passphrase. Now the thing is that once you make this passphrase, you have to remember it, because if you lose your passphrase, you'll never be able to get into your system. And if you don't have your stuff backed up, you'll lose it. So if you forget your passphrase and it's a bare metal computer, you can just reformat the computer and do a brand new installation. But if you don't have all your files backed up, you'll lose them. So you have to make sure you know your passphrase and you don't lose it. Now, before you type in the passphrase, you have to remember that I put the caps on because it said, are you sure? Type yes in capital letters. So I put my caps on to type yes. So I'm going to take my caps off. So when you're making your new password, you got to be aware of whether your caps are on or off. So now I've taken my caps off. I'm going to type in a password. I'm going to hit enter. It's asking me to type in the password again. I'm going to type it again. I'm going to hit enter. And it's just encrypting the drive and adding the password to it. So that part is done. Now we have to open the drive. So I'm going to type in encrypt set up open, and you have to leave the spaces. Where I'm leaving the spaces, dev VDA2, leave a space, and now you have to give your drive a name. It doesn't matter what name you give it, but you have to know the name. You have to remember the name, because we're going to have to put that name in another file later on during the installation. And it could be any name. So you know what? What should I call it? I'm going to call it my drive. Let's call it my drive. You can call it whatever you want. And now I'm going to hit enter. Now I have to enter the password in that I created a moment ago. So I'm going to enter that password. And if I did everything right, it's going to open it. So now it's opened. So the next thing I'm going to do is I have to create a file system for this partition. So I'm going to type in mkfs ext4, leave a space, dev mapper / and now I have to use the name that I give it. So my name that I gave it was my drive. So I'm going to type in my drive, hit enter, and I just created a file system for my partition, or my drive. So next I'm going to make mkfs ext4 for my boot partition / dev VDA1. And I created a file system for that. Now let's just lsblk. Let's see what we got here. So the whole virtual machine is VDA. VDA1 is my 200 meg partition, and VDA2, called my drive, and you can call it anything you want, is 19.8 gigabytes, and it's Crypt. It's telling you it's a encrypted drive. So now we want to mount the drives. So I've created a file system for both drives, and now we're going to mount them. So I'm going to type in mount dev mapper / and the name that I gave it, and I gave it my drive. And leave a space / mnt. And it mounted. Now I'm going to mount the boot drive. So I'm going to do mkdir make dir / mnt / boot. Now I'm going to mount it. Mount mnt mount / dev VDA1 / mnt / boot. And if I did it right, we'll find out in a second. Let's clear the screen. Let's do lsblk, and we can see both are mounted now. So I have VDA1 is my 200 meg partition. It's mounted to boot. And VDA2, my drive, which is a Crypt drive, is also mounted to mount, MNT. So that worked. So now we're going to start installing some of the system. So I'm going to type, let's clear the screen. I'm going to type in pacstrap / MNT, and don't forget to leave a space there after pacstrap. I'm going to type in base devel Linux firmware, Linux headers, vim, git, terminus, font. And that's all I'm going to install right now. I'm going to hit enter, and if I typed everything right, it's going to start installing these packages. And I'm going to pause the video for a few minutes. This is not going to take more than 2 or 3 minutes, but I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back. I'm back. I think that took about 1.5 minutes. It's pretty fast. So now I'm going to type in this command, Genfstab, capital U, MNT, 2 arrows, /MNT, /etc, /fstab. And you have to type it in properly or it won't work. And there, that's done. Now I'm going to Chroot into my system. I'm going to clear the screen. I should have cleared the screen for that last command. And just so you can see it better, that was the last command I did. Genfstab -u mnt arrow mint etc fstab. So I'll just put it up there by itself for a moment just so you can see it on a clear screen. So now my next command is going to be Chrooting into the system. So I'm going to do arch Chroot /mnt. So now I'm logged on to my new system, but still attached to the live ISO because we still have some more base work to do. So I'm going to clear the screen, and now I'm going to type in ln sf usr share zone info America Toronto space etc local time. Now I'm going to type in vim etc locale period gen, and I'm just going to go down here. Oh, there it is. I passed it. ENCA. I'm going to activate these 2 lines for English Canada, and I'm going to quit out of there, save the file and quit. And I'm going to clear the screen, and now I'm going to type in locale -gen, and now it's generating my location. And I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to type in vim etc locale conf, and I'm going to type in this word, language equals en underscore capital CA period UTF -8. And this command has to be typed in properly with the caps and the small letters and the underscores exactly the way it is, or it won't work. I'm going to save the file. Oops, my caps are still on. And the file is saved, and I'm going to clear the screen. Now I'm going to give myself my computer a host name. So I'm going to type in vim etc host name, and I'm just going to call it arch. I'm going to save it. This can be changed after the fact. This is really easy to change after installation. And I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to give root a password. So I'm going to do password without the O and without the R. passwd. Leave a space. I'm going to type in root, and I'm going to give root a password. I'm going to re-enter it. So now root has a password. Now I'm going to install Grub and Network Manager. Hit enter. And I know I made the pacman.conf verbose, so packages are supposed to show up in a column, but the font is too big. Anyways, let's click that's finished. Let's clear the screen. Now I'm going to set Network Manager to turn on when we reboot automatically, or else you won't have internet access. So system control enable Network Manager. Now you have to type this exactly as it is, and notice the N for network is capitalized and the M from manager is capitalized, and there's no space in network manager. So you have to type this exactly the way it is or it won't work. That's done. And I'm going to clear the screen. Now I'm going to install Grub. Grub install /VDA, whoops, dev/VDA. And it's installing Grub. And it's done, and it says there's no error reported. Let's clear the screen. Now I'm going to type in Grub mkconfig -o, and that's an O and not a 0. Boot Grub CFG. Enter. And I typed it wrong, and that's why it didn't work. Let's clear the screen. And it didn't work because I forgot a slash. There we go. And let's hit enter. And it's generating Grub. So let's clear the screen. Now I'm going to go into this file, mkinitcpio.conf. And I'm going to make a change. Because we encrypted our drive, we have to go and make this change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the word encrypt between the word block and file system. Okay, so what I'm going to do is type in encrypt. Now you got to make sure you type it right. Encrypt, and I'm going to save the file. I'm going to clear the screen. Now I'm going to type in mkinitcpio-p Linux. And I don't know how to pronounce that word. mkinitcpio. I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyways, you have to do this. You would have to do this even if we weren't encrypting the drive, but we wouldn't have had to change that other file. We opened the file and put encrypt in there. And this part's almost done. Just be another moment. Now the next part is a little bit tricky. Okay, so let's clear the screen. So we're going to do blkid. So we're going to have to open up our Grub file. And we're going to have to put, now I can't use my mouse to point because I'm in a TTY. But you can see maybe the second from the bottom where it says dev VDA2 UUID. We have to copy that number into our Grub file. Now, of course, the mouse doesn't work in the TTY and the copy and paste don't really work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a file and I'm going to type in this command. And of course, if you're using Nano, I don't know how to use Nano that well, but it does work with Vim. And like I said at the beginning of the, or near the beginning of this video, you really have to be familiar with Vim and Nano to do this. So I'm going to type in this command, blkid pipe t-a UUID. And what I'm doing is I'm piping this whole block of numbers into a file so we can open it up and copy it. So I'm going to hit enter. Now let's do let's clear the screen. Let's do ls and see if it copied it. And there it is on the top right. You can see it made a file called UUID. So we're going to vim into it, UUID. And we're going to go down to this line here, VDA2, and we're going to hit the Y twice. So when you hit in Vim, when you hit the Y twice, it copies it and puts it onto the clipboard. So we're going to do YY. Now I'm going to get out of this file. I'm going to quit out of there. And I'm going to type in, well, let's clear the screen. I'm going to type in Vim etc default/grub. And we're going to go to this line here, this fifth line. Yeah, it's the fifth line. And we're going to go to this. And now we're going to paste the line in. Now to paste it, we're going to hit the P. And if I did it right, it should work. And it worked. So now we don't need all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor right under the UUID, and I'm going to backspace and just go gently because you don't want to go too fast. And then I'm going to, you just want to be very gentle. Let's do that, and let's go to the bottom. And you don't need the stuff at the end either. So, I'm just going to go very gently because I don't want to delete too much. Okay. And I'm going to we want to put that back, and we're going to type in this word, Encrypt device equals, and then we're going to go and take out this one here, take out this quotation marks in front of the two. And now we're going to go to the end of the line, and this part you have to be very careful because if you don't do this right, you won't be able to boot into your system. So now I'm going to put a full colon in there, and I'm going to type in Encrypt and the name of my drive. And I named it my drive. You could name it whatever you want, but I named it my drive. I'm going to leave a space, and then I'm going to type in my drive equals dev mapper my drive, and I'm going to put a quotation marks. So now you have to make sure that you did this right, and if you did it right, it should look like this. The only thing different when you do it is that number one, your UUID number is going to be different than mine. And the name of your encrypted drive is going to be different than mine because you could give it whatever name you want. So I gave it my drive, but it should look like this. So you just want to check this very carefully before you save the file and reboot your system. You want to make sure the quotations are all in the right spot and so forth. And it looks okay. I hope it is. Because I won't be able to boot in the system and then my video is going to be messed up. But it looks like it's okay. Make sure you check it carefully. Let's save the file. Let's clear the screen. Now we got to run Grub again. Now it's in memory, so you can use your you don't have to retype make Grub again. You can use your up arrow. Just keep going up until you get to the command that we want. And there it is there. We want to grub make config O. And that's an O and not a 0. Boot grub CFG. Let's hit enter. And it worked. Looks like we're good. There was no errors. So now we want to exit. Now umount /R/MNT. We're just making sure we're not mounted to the system anymore. And now we're going to reboot. And if it worked, I'll be able to get into my system. And if it didn't work, I'm going to have to redo the video. Hope not. So let's reboot. And I'm not going to pause the video because it's going to boot up really fast. And I'm going to make this full screen. And it worked. My disk is encrypted, and sorry I can't make the font larger at this moment, but I'm going to read it for you in case you can't see it. It says a password is required to access decrypt my drive volume. Enter passphrase for dev VDA2. So I'm going to enter my passphrase. And it's just taking a minute. And now I don't have a user yet because I'm only doing a base install right now. So I don't have a user. The only user is root. So I'm going to type in root. I'm going to put his password in. And I'm going to type in this command. Set font here -128 B for bold. And there we are. We're in root at Arch. And I'm going to do lsblk. And we can see we have VDA1, a 200 meg partition, which is my boot partition, and VDA2, which is crypt my drive, and you can name it whatever you want, is a 19 gig 0.8 partition. Now, let's say you want to change your passphrase. I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is going to be a bonus for the video. Now, in this video, I'm not going to do post installation. I'm going to do that in another video. So right now, I'm not going to set up a user or give him sudo privileges or put in a window manager or a desktop environment or Firefox or web browsers or anything like that. I'm going to save that for another video. So right now, I just wanted to do manually a base installation that is encrypted. But as a bonus, I'm going to show you how to change your encryption password. So also, ideally, you should have 3 passwords. You should have an encryption password, a different password for root, and a different password for your user. Now, you could make one password for all 3. It could be the same password for all 3. You can do that. But it's more secure if you have 3 different passwords. And then if you have 3 different passwords and you want to make a username for your spouse or your children, you could make a username with their own password, and you may or may not want to give them sudo privileges. So that's just a thought. But anyways, let's say you want to change your encryption password. This is how you're going to do it. Let's clear the screen, and we're going to type this word in. Encrypt setup lux change key dev VDA2. Now notice it has to be exactly with the spaces and exactly like this. And notice lux change key is one word, and the C in change is capitalized, and the K in key is capitalized. I don't know why they do it that way, but that's the way you have to type it in. Hit enter. And oh yeah, and in order to change the password, you have to know the password. So you have to know your current password. So if you don't know your current password, you won't be able to change the password. And if, like I said earlier in the video, if you lose your password, the only thing you can do is reformat the drive and do a brand new installation. And if you don't have all your files backed up, they're lost. So like I said, to change the password, you have to know the current password. So it's asking me to enter the current password. Now it doesn't say current password, but enter password to be changed. But they mean enter your current password. So I'm going to do that. Now enter new password. So I'm entering the new password. Now I got to enter it a second time. And it's verifying to make sure I typed the password twice correctly. And it's done. Now we can just reboot. But the thing is, if it didn't work and we reboot, we won't be able to get into our system. So there's a way to test it before rebooting. So to test it, we're going to do encrypt setup space -- verbose. open dash dash test one dash passphrase space dev VDA VDA 2. So you got to type it in exactly like that. Hit enter. Now it says no usable token is available. Ignore that line. So enter passphrase. So I'm going to put my new password in now, the one I made a moment ago. And hit enter. And command successful. Key slot 0 unlocked. Command successful. So that's so I changed the password, and that's telling me that the new password is working and it's okay. So now let's reboot and see if it is. And I'm not going to pause the video because this is booting pretty fast. Sorry about the small font. Can't change it at this moment. I'm going to type in my new password. Hit enter. And I can tell it's opening it. It worked. So I'm going to type in root. Remember, I don't have a user yet. I haven't made a user. I'm going to do that in the next video. So I'm going to go into root. I'm going to put root's password in. And we're in the system. And I'm going to change the font. TR 128 bold. And there we are. We're in the new system. I created a new system, I encrypted it manually, and then I changed the encryption password after the fact. And what I'm going to do is pacman neo, whoops, let's install Neofetch. I'm not going to install anything else right now. Let's clear the screen. Let's type in Neofetch. There we have it. We are in a base installation of Arch Linux installed manually, and we're in root. So I gave this installation 4 processors, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and a 20 gig hard drive. We're using 103 megabytes out of our 4 gigs of RAM. So today I installed Arch Linux the manual way, and I encrypted the drive, and I showed you how to change the encryption password after the fact. In my next video, I'm going to do a post installation. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you learned something, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I am the Linux Mensch. Bye bye.